a very special guest with us here on the Coach's Corner. We have Jerry Caldwell, who is the general manager, and let's see if I got that right, EVP. What does EVP stand for?
Executive Vice President.
Executive
General Manager of Bristol Motor Speedway.
Okay. Now this is great because I coach football. I was a football, basketball coach. I've loved sports all my life. But as people know me, my first love was racing.
Oh.
You're putting on an event where you got the best of both worlds coming up here.
We're your dream come true.
You're right. You are. I'm still trying to figure out how are we going to play a football game at a racetrack. And all. You've got a huge game coming up with Tennessee and Virginia Tech. Over 150,000 tickets have been sold, though. Tell us how we play football at a racetrack.
Well, first you have to throw the checkered flag for the Bass Pro Shops NRA night race. That's August the 20th.
Wow. That's on my birthday.
Get that over with.
Okay.
Good Lord willing, that'll end Saturday night. And then Sunday morning, we'll start bringing material in right away. We have to raise the infield of Bristol 3.5 feet in the middle so that we can get it to slope on the ends so it'll crest. And we'll, at the same time, that'll take us about 7 days. We'll be building grandstands on the front stretch and the back stretch, and in the end zones, between the end zones and the buildings we have down there. Putting play clocks in and coaches' booths and locker rooms and everything else, and we'll be ready to play football.
All right, I'm going to get my one-liners over with now. My man right here, Mr. Flag on the play. Now, every time in a football game when the official throws a yellow flag, does that mean there's a caution?
Yeah, you stop the cars.
Okay, to start the game, instead of a kickoff, is the referee going to throw a green flag for them to run up and kick the ball off? This would be neat stuff to incorporate in the game.
I think it's a great idea.
And then at the end of the game, when time runs out, the official, you know how they normally hold the ball up and do that? Let them do a checker flag.
There you go.
Yeah, we got this thing rolling right now.
I like it.
Now, how in the world did you ever come up with an idea of playing a football game at a racetrack?
Well, you got to give credit there to Mr. Bruton Smith. You never know what'll come out of his mind. And this is Bruton's brainchild 20 years ago.
Wow.
Bruton Smith and Jeff Bird, who was general manager at the time, came up with this idea about 1997-98 and pitched it to, at the time, Doug Dickey and Phil Fulmer at Tennessee and Jim Weaver and Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech. And at the time, the stars just didn't align. Tennessee was really a national championship caliber team, had other priorities, didn't want to focus on this at that point in time. Tried a few other times throughout the years to pull it together. And there were times when they came to us to do it, and we were under construction and couldn't, and there were times that we went back to them and it didn't work. Fast forward to about late 2012, early 2013, Marcus Smith, Bruton's son, really made the phone call to me and said, hey, we need to resurrect this football idea. Let's play that out and see what happens. So we started pulling some engineers in to say, hey, how do we do this? Can we do it? What's it going to cost? Do we have time? How long will it take us from the August night race to flip that thing over? And we got all those details worked out, and then went and sat down with Dave Hart at the University of Tennessee and Jim Weaver at the time at Virginia Tech, and the stars began to align.
You know, it's kind of neat because of your race, the way it is, and there are people, and you pack over 100,000 in there for a race, then people talk about how that is like the atmosphere of a race is like a football atmosphere when you go to there. I've heard that for years, racing there. Did that kind of spin off as far on the idea, too, that people have talked about that with the arena and the way it's like a Super Bowl type arena? Yeah, I thought so.
I mean, it's the last great Coliseum. We are completely bowled in, half-mile, high-bank track. I call it a football stadium on steroids because it's what it is. And I think that's what started the conversation. The layout of that facility is so natural for it. It's a big arena. It's a big Coliseum. What other things can we do to fill the place up? And naturally, if you're in East Tennessee and Southwest Virginia, you're either going to be talking NASCAR or you're going to be talking Tennessee football or Hokie football. Mm-hmm. So we've got the NASCAR thing covered pretty well. It only made sense to go try to put together the Tennessee and the Virginia Tech football game and see where it led us.
And again, these teams, I don't know when the last time they played, if they played, two traditional football programs getting together. That had to be an ideal matchup for playing there, to get the two of them together.
It is. We are 9 miles from being the exact center from Blacksburg to Knoxville. So as far as the geography of it, it's a perfect fit. We're right there in the middle of them. We did some research, though. Even though this is kind of a regional matchup, this is turning into a national spectacle. We've got people, we did some research I saw last week. We've sold tickets to people in all 50 states and 4 foreign countries that will be coming for the Pilot Flying J Battle at Bristol. So even though they're again regional, this is going to have international appeal. We'll be on ABC at 8 p.m., their primetime game that second week of the season.
Now, will it be a natural turf? Will it be an artificial surface? What will you do with the field once the game is over?
Artificial turf, and do you need to redo your yard?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Did they drought in South Carolina?
You put artificial turf down, it'll be just fine.
Please send me some. My wife would love that. Then I wouldn't have to mow it anymore. Coach Tony, you need some of that. That's right. Man goes out and tries to tear his lawnmower up so he doesn't have to cut grass. That's right.
On the course I like to do with the golf course.
So, all right, big event this year. Is this going to be something that you're going to try to turn into an annual traditional event, or is it just going to be, have you looked that far down the road, or what's your plan?
We view this really as kind of a coming out party. It's not going to change. Motorsports is our core business. NASCAR is our business, and that's what we're going to focus on at Speedway and our dragway. But when you have a facility like ours, we just, this past year, Bruton and Marcus built the world's largest outdoor center-hung TV screen we call Colossus. It's suspended over the top of the racetrack. It's essentially a 3-story building with screens on all 4 sides. It suspends over the top of the racetrack 150 feet in the air. It gives us a great advantage to be able to not only have a very intimate environment for huge events, but to be able to see everything and show everything that's going on. So we view this as really a coming out party for us to say, outside the motorsports world, here we are. And if you want to put on the world's largest of whatever your sport or entertainment choice may be, we're somewhere you ought to come see. So we'll have a Kenny Chesney concert the night before the Pilot Flying J Battle at Bristol. Kenny Chesney, the band period, Old Dominion, which is kind of coming out for us in the music world. We'll have about 45,000 people for that. Still a few tickets left. Pilot Flying J Battle at Bristol, we're sold out of grandstand tickets, still got a few premium areas. And then the next weekend, the 17th, we're going to play East Tennessee State University versus Western Carolina. So much smaller game, but we got the field there. East Tennessee State University is a local, kind of local team and local university, so it made sense to put them in there. I think that will lead us into probably not every year playing a game, but every 2 years, every 3 years, something like that could make some sense. We'll kind of see what happens from a scheduling standpoint.
Any thought of ever down the road playing a bowl game there?
Never say never with Bruton Smith.
That's true. That's true. How long will it actually take you, manpower, man hours and all, to make that transition from a racetrack to a football field? Have you calculated that yet on how long it's going to take to do that?
Every second that we have. Total man hours, I'm not sure exactly that we've taken the time. We haven't had the time to total up everybody's. We're going to have a lot of people. We have it choreographed from seriously the minute the checkered flag drops to getting that infield clean, and then that Sunday morning beginning to bring in the materials. And we have charts that flow who can come in and when they're coming in, when they're coming out, and we have basically stage producers that are going to be at the gate saying, you're not coming in yet, and you're going to be up in 5 minutes. And it's going to be that way, that whole 24/7 for 3 weeks.
Now, during timeouts will the teams go down pit road?
We'll stop. We'll make your own pit stop. Right.
Well, again, that Coach Tony, did you have something you asked?
I told you, I think it's an outstanding thing what you folks are doing, because I know in some of the bowl games and games, they're having like games at Yankee Stadium, and I believe there will be some time at Fenway Park or so forth and so on, but I started getting excited about this when I heard just the amount of people that's going to be there, and that has to set some type of record for a football game to have that many people And I know it's really going to give a big shot in the arm economically for Bristol and those areas around too.
It will. It's going to be amazing. It'll shatter the current record. That's about 117,000 up in Michigan. We'll have 155,000 plus, so we'll blow that record away. It's been really fun to be a part of, and it takes a whole lot of work from a lot of different people, and it's taken a lot of cooperation. We've got an amazing team in Bristol that's been able to pull us together. Virginia Tech and Tennessee have really been there with us every step of the way, making sure that we are able to go through all of the little nuances. Big events are big events, but they all have little nuances, and this one's, replay booth and a countdown clock, and being able to control the play clock from up top or down on the field, and finding locker rooms, all those things that you have to go through and figure out. So it's been fun to be a part of.
How have you had a chance to talk to any of the coaches or players that will be playing to kind of get what their feel is for that, what they're thinking and all?
Oh yeah, they're all jacked up. They are. We talked to Coach Fuente, and Butch Jones Fuente's fairly new, so he's still getting his arms around all of it. They've been using it to recruit. It was a huge recruiting tool for all of them for the past 3 years since we've announced it. Butch Jones and the team at Tennessee immediately after announcing it, and Virginia Tech did the same thing. They started wrapping part of their football offices with pictures, renderings of what this football game was going to look like. And you could imagine walking into a high school student house that you're trying to recruit and saying, hey kids, I'll guarantee you'll be part of history. You want to be part of history? All right, then come play at my school.
Well, I tell you too, Jay, it's going to be interesting for Coach Fuentes too. His first game as coach of Virginia Tech after coming from Memphis, Tennessee. So
yeah,
he's going to keep it in Tennessee.
Yeah, and he and Butch Jones have history. They're both friends. They go way back. So, and Whit Babcock and Butch are friends. So there are a lot of crossovers. It's going to be interesting to see. Condridge Holloway, who played many years ago at Tennessee, is a great guy. We had a media event and had Condridge join us, and a reporter asked him that. And he said, what's going to be your advice to these kids who, 18, 19 years old, they're going to be standing on a field, ABC, prime time, 160,000 people around you. What's your advice? And he said, my advice is you better be paying attention to that guy across from you is about to bust you in the nose.
Now, are you actually going to be putting stands on the track that come down there too to kind of fill in that? Because I've seen before where, like I think the first time they ever played a college basketball game in Astrodome, there was a big space between the court and the stands there. So are you going to have the fans fairly close to the field and all, or how will that work?
Yeah, we're doing stands on the track on the front stretch and the back stretch, and then we're adding stands just outside the end zones, between the end zones and the media center and the other buildings that we have down there on the end. So there will be some seats right there around. People have asked a lot, how far away is this? Is it going to be so far you can't see? It's about 25 or 30 yards further away than you normally would be in a football stadium.
Right.
So yes, it's further away. Is it major? It's really not. You'll be able to see everything, and then with Colossus right there in front of you, you're going to see every replay right in front of you.
Well, I can imagine too, just the screen fans that's going to be there, how many millions of people will be watching that night? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. I've talked to some other folks here just saying that. If they're not there, they say, I'm not going to miss it because I just really want to see it.
Yes.
And how you incorporate the NASCAR world into the college football world. It's got to be a spectacle. We've got all of these people that are going to be camping from all over the world together. We've sold out of camping and had to go find more camping 3 different times already. But it's going to be quite the spectacle. It'll be a lot of fun.
And when you combine NASCAR fans and football fans, you don't find 2 more fanatical groups right there, and you put them together like that. That's got to make for a great atmosphere.
It sounds like it's a bunch of people like you.
It is. Hey, I'm still better.
NASCAR fans and football fans.
We're from Spartanburg, South Carolina, which was the hotbed of racing, which if our stupid city council had not made a few bad decisions, that building over there, the Hall of Fame, may have been sitting in Spartanburg. The original plan, I don't know if you knew this or not, was to build Talladega Motor Speedway Speedway in Spartanburg.
Oh, really?
And the city council voted it down, which I still would love to kick them now, but because that's where all the racing shops was with David Pearson, Cotton Owens, Bud Moore, James Hilton, all those guys. That the original plan was for Talladega Motor Speedway to be built in Spartanburg, and that may have been one of the racing hubs. So I'm still bitter from that one right now.
We know history of Bristol Motor Speedway. The original plans of Bristol Motor Speedway called for it to be built in Piney Flats, Tennessee.
Wow.
It would have been Piney Flats Motor Speedway.
Bristol's got a better ring to it.
Which is about 8 miles, 7, 8 miles towards Johnson City, south of where the Speedway is. And that wasn't city council. It was the churches and the farmers got up in arms because they didn't want all those loud cars and people drinking beer in their backyard. So they made them move it down to Bristol.
I tell you what, Gary, you just can't get politics out of anything.
I'll tell you another interesting one is this is not the first football game to be played at Bristol Motor Speedway. In 1961, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins played an exhibition game inside Bristol Motor Speedway.
Wow. Did not know that one. That's pretty interesting though. So. But, again, we're going to give you a chance, too. You've got a big football game, but you've got a big NASCAR event coming up here in just a couple of weeks right there, too. Right before that, though, but NASCAR will be coming up your way. The Chase is getting near right now, though, so this is going to be a key race coming up in Bristol here in several weeks. So go ahead and let's promote that, too, while we're
Yeah, we do. It's upon us. Pilot Flying J Battle at Bristol is September the 10th. We got the Bass Pro Shops NRA night race on August the 20th, and it is going to be upon us. It is. If you've never been to Bristol, you owe it to yourself to go.
We got to come, Coach Tony.
There is nothing else like it in the world. It is the last great Coliseum, completely bowled in, amazing facility, and to fire up those 40 cars and put the greatest drivers in the world surrounded by 150,000 people in the hills east Tennessee, it really is amazing. It's something that you owe it to yourself. Car and Driver said that a few years ago. It was one of the 10 events that you have to do before you die. It was go to the night race in Bristol. So it's an amazing event. We start that week on Wednesday night. We'll run trucks, much like they did last night up at Eldora. We'll have our Wednesday night truck race that week. And then on Friday night, we'll run the Xfinity Food City 300. And then Saturday is the big one, the most anticipated night race of the year for all NASCAR fans.
Well, it's funny, we were talking coming up here at NASCAR, we were telling Larry about that we always enjoy it. The Coke 600 is such a long race that between laps 200 to 300, we always go and we take a tour of the infield. And we take pictures of all the crazy people in there. I had a guy tell me that he'd had this same parking spot there since 1965. Man, there on the back stretch there. We've been invited to take a dip in some of the little pools, the school buses that have been renovated. And it was worth it just to go because NASCAR fans are unique.
Yes, they are.
I enjoy getting out and talking with them. There's not another bunch around like that.
Very cordial and friendly people.
We like to go on top of a couple of motorhomes and watch the race. So.
It's the way. I mean, they're the backbone of America. They really are. That's what this great country is all about. Are just good people, good, hard-working people. They like to have a good time and they like to support America and typically their state or their college football team and then their NASCAR driver. And they're passionate about all of them. That's why we love them. But they are so cordial. What happens at Bristol is we end up with these communities that really form. They've camped there for years and years. It's become a family reunion for them, and they see these people one time a year. And it's when they all camp together in the campgrounds surrounding the Bristol Motor Speedway, and they just have the biggest time. They look forward to that week all year long. We'll have people that will start coming to Bristol on August the 1st for our August 20th race. They'll start camping out.
Wow.
There's one guy who comes every year from Iowa, and he always gets there the first day of the month, August the 1st.
Does he win the poll? Does he get there?
He does. One of the reasons he does it is the campground he stays in is first come, first served.
Okay.
They have a campground. They have an area in the campground called Jelloville. So he goes and stakes claim on Jelloville and if you walk over there, they got all those little plastic cups in there where it's all those Jello shots they are.
Well, Jerry, we appreciate you coming and sharing with us today. Jerry Caldwell, great idea, great event coming up at Bristol Motor Speedway, college football, NASCAR racing. Doesn't need better than that, does it?
Well, we look forward to seeing you out there, and thanks for letting me join you today.
Well, we'll definitely be watching and checking this out. Thank you for coming by.
Thanks very much, Jerry.